Hey everyone and welcome to a new beta firmware update video. Just a few days ago a second XIM Apex beta firmware came out, and in the following video I will tell you everything you need to know about it. Well, actually it's the third beta firmware this month. I haven't covered the last one since the changes were so small that it wasn't really worth it. Anyway, this one is a really big one again, and as always I will mention some further infos in regards to the patch notes that should help you to better judge if you want to upgrade to that firmware or not. But first off, how do you find the firmware? Well, just head into the XIM forum and scroll down until you can see the Apex area. Under the download section you can find the beta button. Click it and you can see all the available beta firmware versions. At the very top you can always find the most recent one, which I will cover in more detail now. But before I go over the content of this video, here's a quick reminder. If you have never updated your XIM Apex and it still runs on the firmware that it shipped with, then your firmware is 1 year older than the following beta firmware. And as you can guess, during that year a lot of new features have been added to the XIM. In my opinion, those features make a huge difference, and I can only recommend you to use the beta firmware over the one that your XIM came with. In the middle you can find the features that have been added since then. Steady aim, boost, simulate analog behavior, there's quite a lot of stuff that you're missing out on. You can also find tutorials for pretty much all of these features on my channel, so I will not go over those now in detail. Just watch them if you would like to know what they actually do. If you scroll down a little bit more, you can find the explanations of how to update your XIM Apex and also your XIM Manager. This time you will have to update both your XIM and your XIM Manager. The XIM Manager links can be found right below. If you use an iPhone, you will have to download the new manager through the Apple Test Flight Beta program. By the time you watch this video, Apple should have already approved the new beta firmware, so you should be able to download it already. Android users don't have to pay attention to that, just download and install the Manager APK on your phone. On some Android devices the download link may not work. In that case, just press and hold the link and your phone will ask you to download the file. Now, if you don't fully understand those upgrade explanation steps, then you can also watch my XIM Apex basic guide, where I explain and showcase the whole update process in more detail. I will also show you how you can backup your configs in that video. So if you struggle with the whole update process, then I recommend you to watch that video instead. But let's finally get to the actual changes of this firmware compared to the previous beta firmware. So first we have basically nothing new. If you watched the previous beta firmware, then you are already familiar with these changes. Basically the SAB0 effect has been reverted back to the firmware that the XIM ships with. And this beta firmware now includes some additional steps to ensure exactly that. I will not go into detail on this again since I already covered that in the last June beta firmware video. If you want to know more about that change, then I recommend you to watch that video. The second change in this firmware is much more interesting though. For the first time since early March of this year, you now have the option again to fully deactivate the simulate analog behavior feature. That may not sound very impressive, but it really is a big change. If you watched my previous beta firmware video, then you already know that an SAB value of 0 doesn't fully deactivate the feature. And while in my opinion that design choice offers more advantages than disadvantages for the customer, it's always great to have a choice, right? That way you can pick the settings that support your playstyle the most. And in the last few minutes I want to quickly give you an overview so you can decide on your own what SAB setting works best for you. But first, how can you turn off the simulate analog behavior feature? When you are in your HIP or ADS config, just expand the advanced settings under the movement area and scroll all the way down. There you can find the SAB value. Now all you have to do is to set the SAB value to 0, and after that you press the minus button once again. That's already it. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of using SAB over no SAB? Well, first off, if you prefer your XIM experience to be as close to a PC as possible, then using no simulate analog behavior is the way to go for you. This will give you the same precise character movements that you already know from the PC. I mean, that sounds pretty decent and desirable, doesn't it? So where's the catch? What kind of disadvantages could that have? Well, the biggest one is that using no SAB at all creates quite some aim assist problems while doing strafe movements. If you ever experienced situations in which the aim assist pushed you away from the target, or it was difficult to actually aim on the target while moving around with your character, then the reason for that was most likely the lack of SAB that you were using. The more SAB you use, the less likely you will run into such a problem. I explained the whole reasoning behind that in my Simulate Analog Behavior tutorial video. If you want to understand why that is the case, then you can watch that video. Another reason is that in the last 3 months, all firmware versions used a base SAB effect that you couldn't deactivate. So if you fully turn it off now, there's a high chance that both your character movement and your aiming will feel off or wrong. You basically got used to playing with SAB, so switching back to no SAB can give you quite some troubles. A third reason for why you want to continue using SAB is that in some games, such as Fortnite or PUBG, SAB is actually required, or else those games will not work properly with your XIM. Right now it's basically just those two games, but it's still worth to mention. Anyway, in my opinion, Simulate Analog Behavior is one of the best features that have been added to the XIM in a long while, and I can only recommend you to keep using it. But that's just my opinion, which is why I would like to encourage you to play a few games without Simulate Analog Behavior. That way you can make up your own mind. Just pay attention to both your character movements and how your aim assist performs while moving around with your character. Now before I end the video, please share your experience with that beta firmware either in the comments down below or in the beta firmware forum post. Your feedback is critical to make your XIM better and better with each month. I have linked the forum post in the video description down below. If you liked this video, hit the like button or even subscribe to this channel. And for the crazy guys out there, you can even become a channel member now. I'd really appreciate that. Also, let me know if you would like me to keep you updated on future XIM firmware releases by doing more of these videos whenever a new beta firmware comes out. But that's about it for this video guys. Thanks for watching and I will maybe see you in the next one.